the Queen of Sheba and the Prophet King. Of all the enigmatic figures in history, few are as captivating as Queen Bilqis. Mentioned in the Qur'an, she was the wife of the Prophet King Sulayman, and her kingdom stretched from southern Arabia all the way to Africa. There are incredible facts about her you won't believe. For instance, some people claimed she was half human and half jinn. The question is, could Prophet Sulayman, a man with authority over the jinn, really have married one of them? What do Islamic texts reveal about this mystery? But the story doesn't begin with the queen. It starts with a humble bird named hoopoe, a creature gifted with the ability to understand human speech and carry messages from far-off lands. This little bird's journey would lead a sun-worshipping queen to embrace Islam, ultimately changing the course of history forever. Before we dive in, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss more videos like this one. Ready? Let's get started. The Quran says, "We relate to you, O Muhammad, the best of stories in what we have revealed to you of this Quran, although you were before it among the unaware." Surah Yusuf 12-3. The soldiers were assembled, awaiting inspection by their commander and prophet Sulayman. This was no ordinary army. It was a fascinating mix of humans, jinn, birds, and other animals. The winds themselves would carry Sulayman to his destinations. The human ranks included cavalry and infantry, while the jinn warriors were invisible to the human eye, making them a truly terrifying force. Animals and birds were also part of his troops, with lions and tigers leading the animal groups. The air force was made up of hawks and falcons. The hoopoe bird, known as hoopoe, was the head of intelligence. His mission was to fly great distances, spy on enemies, and report back everything he observed. It was a crucial and sensitive role. As the army gathered, many of the animals noticed that hoopoe was missing. "The commander will arrive soon," they whispered, "and he'll realize hoopoe isn't here." When Sulayman finally approached, the whispers grew louder. He immediately noticed the hoopoe's absence. At that very moment, hoopoe was far away in the kingdom of the Queen of Sheba. He had traveled a long distance, driven by an inner feeling that he was on the trail of important news. He landed on a tall tree overlooking the city, taking in everything: the roads, houses, palaces, and gates. He sensed something was wrong. The people seemed to be gathering for a ceremony. He asked a local hoopoe, "Oh, beautiful hoopoe, can you tell me what's happening in this city?" "The people are going to see their queen," the other bird replied. "They're about to perform a ceremony where they all bow down to the sun." Sulayman's spy bird now knew his instincts were correct. He watched the guards and commanders, then saw the queen emerge from her throne. She led her people, raising her hands and bowing to the sun, a ritual everyone followed. Hoopoe witnessed it all and, thinking about Sulayman's reaction, flew back at once. After a long, tiring flight, he returned to the army. The other birds immediately surrounded him, full of anger. A small sparrow was the first to speak. "Where have you been? Our leader Sulayman asked about you. We hope you have a good excuse for disappearing." Feeling even more worried, hoopoe decided to go straight to Prophet Sulayman. He knew he had no choice but to explain himself and seek forgiveness. He flew, trembling, toward Sulayman's tent. The prophet was having dinner. Hoopoe entered through the window and sat quietly at the edge of the table, making sure to stay out of the prophet's reach. With his head bowed in fear, he gave his greetings. Slowly, with humility, he raised his head, but could only bring himself to look at Sulayman's hands and chest. He was too ashamed to look at his face. While speaking, hoopoe kept his eyes on the prophet's hands. He decided to speak first, remembering what he had learned from his leader. The best way to touch Sulayman's heart was to tell the clear truth. "My master," he began, "I have brought important news about a people you don't know. In a far-off land, I saw a woman ruling over the people of Sheba. She sits on a great throne and has everything anyone could ever want. But I saw her and her people bowing to the sun instead of to Allah. Shaitan has made their actions appear good to them." These were powerful words. Hudhud had a legitimate reason for his absence. He had been on a critical mission. Sulayman listened and replied, "Of course, we must check if what you're saying is true. I will write a letter. You will take it to them, and then wait to see how they respond." Hudhud took the sealed letter and flew quickly back to Sheba. Landing on a tree in the palace garden, he found the queen's room. He saw a large room with a big balcony and knew it must be hers. With the letter in his beak, he flew through the open window and hid behind a decoration on the ceiling. He saw the beautiful queen sleeping on her bed, her hair spread across the pillow. As he looked at her, he felt a wave of sadness. Why would someone with so much beauty, wealth, and power worship the sun? He realized Shaitan had deceived them, making them worship something other than Allah. He thought about what would happen if Sulayman's army were to fight the people of Sheba. The outcome was clear. The queen was strong, but she couldn't defeat the prophet's army. His soldiers could easily take over. Hudhud wondered, should I drop the letter now, or wait until she wakes up completely? As he thought, the letter slipped from his beak and fell onto the queen's bed. The queen opened her eyes and saw a letter in front of her. She looked around quickly, but saw no one. Feeling afraid, she opened the letter and read it quietly. It read, "This message is from Sulayman. In the name of Allah, Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim, I invite you to believe in one Allah. Do not act arrogantly toward me. Come to me and submit." The queen became angry and looked around again to see who had brought the letter. Seeing no one, her anger grew. She called her guards and demanded, "Who dared to enter my room? Who did this?" The guards were shocked, telling her that no one had entered. They swore they had their swords ready and their eyes open the whole time, and no one had come near her room. Meanwhile, Hudhud listened from his hiding spot. Then where did this letter come from? The queen shouted, holding it up. The guards were confused and couldn't explain. Queen Bilqis immediately called an emergency council meeting. "My advisors," she said, "I have received a very important letter from Sulayman. It begins in the name of Allah, Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim, and tells me to come to him without pride. What should we do?" One advisor said, "This sounds like a call to war. King Sulayman wants us to submit to him. Let's fight." Another added, "We are strong and powerful. Let's show him our strength and go to war." Most of the council agreed with these aggressive opinions. But one wise advisor spoke up. "Where is the messenger who brought this letter? That's the only one who can help us understand Sulayman's true intentions." Queen Bilqis replied that she didn't know, that she had found the letter on her bed. The wise advisor continued, "This is frightening. If Sulayman could send a letter in such a strange and powerful way without a messenger, who knows how strong he is in war? We should wait and see." Then Queen Bilqis spoke. "When kings attack a land, they destroy everything and turn honorable people into weak ones. I fear this might happen to us. So I suggest we send him gifts with messengers. Then we will wait and see what his response is." No one objected, and her suggestion was accepted. Hudhud, the bird, heard the entire conversation. When the meeting ended, he flew away. In the queen's kingdom, it was announced that a magnificent gift would be made from gold and jewels, no matter the cost. To the queen, Sulayman was a powerful and fearsome man, and only a truly valuable gift might please him. Their future depended on his mercy. The kingdom's artists worked day and night to create the special gift, a golden tray with 2 golden wolves adorned with other jewels. Queen Bilqis was pleased and ordered her messengers to prepare to carry it to Sulayman. She also sent one of her army commanders to gather intelligence. "Find out what Sulayman really wants from us and how strong his army is," she instructed. Prophet Sulayman had already learned about the queen's meeting through Hudhud. As the bird flew around the borders of the kingdom, he spotted the caravan of messengers and quickly returned to inform Sulayman. From Hudhud's report, Sulayman understood that the queen was sending gifts not just to please him, but to gauge his intentions and military power. So Sulayman gave an order. His army was to prepare and line up to receive the queen's messengers. He sent men to meet them, with one goal in mind: to make them feel defeated before they even met him. The messengers from Queen Bilqis suddenly came upon a colossal army. They started counting the soldiers and noting the different creatures that made up the force. To their astonishment, Sulayman's army consisted not only of humans, but also of lions, tigers, elephants, birds, and other animals. They also saw the army move from one place to another using the wind. Their eyes widened and their mouths fell open in shock. This was an army unlike anything they had ever seen, both magnificent and terrifying. It was clear they could never fight against such a force. Their fear grew even more when they noticed some weapons moving on their own. "What is this?" they asked each other in a panic. The officer showing them around answered calmly, "This is just a small group of Jinn soldiers doing their morning training." Shocked, the messengers were now more eager than ever to meet Sulayman, but he refused to see them directly. Instead, he sent one of his commanders to speak with them and invited them to lunch at his palace. As the messengers looked around, they felt embarrassed by their gifts. Compared to the glory and power of Sulayman's kingdom, their gifts seemed small and insignificant. Still, they handed over the gifts with hesitation and shame. The officer took the gifts into Sulayman's room, but returned a few minutes later, holding them again. He placed them on the table and said that Prophet Sulayman had refused them. Then he delivered Sulayman's message. "Do you think you can impress me with wealth? What Allah has given me is better than what He has given you. Take back your gifts. If I come to you with a force you cannot imagine, I will drive you out of your cities in humiliation." The messengers were terrified. One of them asked, "What does Sulayman want from us? Please explain clearly so we can tell the queen." The officer replied, "Sulayman wants only one thing, for your queen and your people to submit to him." The messengers understood this was a message of peace, but also a clear warning. They returned to Queen Bilqis to deliver Sulayman's words. When the messengers arrived, the queen was asleep, but she had ordered her servants to wake her immediately. As soon as her eyes opened, she met with the messengers. "What did Sulayman say when you gave him the gift?" she asked. The messengers explained that they hadn't met Sulayman. A commander had received the gift and taken it to him, but Sulayman had rejected it and sent it back. They also delivered his full message. Hearing this, the queen lowered her head, deep in thought. He had not accepted her gift or her messengers. She questioned her men further, and they told her everything they had seen. She finally understood that Sulayman would only accept one thing: her submission. The messengers described the strength of his army, and when she heard that it included animals and jinn, she realized how serious the situation was. A fight would mean losing everything. There was only one option left: to try and persuade Sulayman in person. As she looked at the rejected gift, she thought deeply about what to do. Then she decided to gather both her royal council and war advisors. Would two great kingdoms go to war? The meeting was going to be crucial. At the same time, Prophet Sulayman was holding a meeting in his own city. His council included ministers, commanders, war experts, and scholars. 2 lion guards stood nearby. Hudhud the bird was also present, ready to report. Sulayman began the meeting. "I praise Allah for all the wealth and power He has given us." Though angry inside, he didn't show it. How can it be that while we are alive, carrying the banner of monotheism, people still worship the sun? This is a failure and a shame for us. Sulayman was not ruling for his own glory, but for Allah's kingdom, and he felt both anger and responsibility. The army commander stood up with his sword in hand. "Just give the order, and I will destroy the throne of the Queen of Sheba and her people who deny Allah." But Sulayman replied, "I do not prefer violence. We must find another way. I hope the queen will come here to meet me. But before she arrives, who among you can bring her throne here?" One of the jinn said, "I can bring it before you even stand up. You know how strong I am." But then a scholar, one who had been given special knowledge by Allah, Ilm, spoke up. "I can bring it to you before you even blink your eye." As soon as Sulayman accepted this offer, the throne of Queen Bilqis suddenly appeared in front of him. It was a teleportation that no human had ever witnessed. Everyone was shocked. The throne was large and majestic. Everyone stared, lost in thought. Hudhud was there too, trying to comprehend what had just happened. Meanwhile, in the city of Sheba, both the royal and war councils had gathered. Queen Bilqis led the meeting, and everyone in the room looked pale and shocked. The queen spoke in a tired voice. "Today we face a very difficult situation. Sulayman wants us to surrender to him. He is threatening to destroy our strength. I ask you to help me find a solution." The advisors agreed that perhaps only the queen herself could go to Sulayman and offer him even greater gifts, which might lead to peace. But they also warned that if he rejected these gifts, war would be their only option, and that war could erase them from history. Everyone saw Queen Bilqis as their last hope. So she decided to take the risk and go to Sulayman's palace in person. Preparations began. New, more beautiful, and expensive gifts were planned. Prophet Sulayman knew that the queen had the wrong idea about power and progress. She was proud of her country's industry and technology. But Sulayman, peace be upon him, wanted to teach her an important truth. Real greatness and true progress come only from believing in the oneness of Allah. Without this belief, any system will eventually fall apart. He thought, what if you lose the world but gain Allah? You win. But if you gain the whole world and lose Allah, what good is that? Being a wise prophet, Sulayman not only had her throne brought to him, but he also ordered its design to be changed. When he saw the sun symbol on it, he said, "How foolish for someone to worship the sun. Even if the sun were made of gold, bowing to it is still nonsense." He ordered parts of the throne to be changed. At the same time, Queen Bilqis was finishing her preparations for the journey. She ordered a caravan to travel with her. Meanwhile, Sulayman called the best architect in his kingdom. "Do you know why I called you?" he asked. "I want a palace built over water, something that looks like a floating palace. Its entrance should be transparent, so anyone looking down thinks it's just water." The architect replied, "If that's what you want, shall I use pure glass for the floor, so the water below can be clearly seen?" "Yes, that would be perfect," Sulayman said. "How long will the construction take?" The architect replied, "If you allow the jinn to help, it will be finished in 2 weeks. If humans build it, it will take much longer." Sulayman agreed. "I will order the jinn to help you, but I want the floor exactly as you described. Clear glass, so the water underneath is fully visible." The architect then asked, "Do you have any other requests for the ceiling or walls, my lord?" "What do you think?" Sulayman answered. The architect said, "I think the ceiling should also be made of glass. That way, the sunlight will reflect on the water and create a beautiful scene. I also suggest making the walls from mirrors." Prophet Sulayman, peace be upon him, was pleased with the idea and immediately ordered the architect to begin the work. Soon, the magnificent structure began to rise above the water. As Queen Bilqis approached Sulayman's kingdom, Hudhud and an officer were waiting for her at the border. On the way, the queen began to notice strange things. The stories her messengers had told her were true. This land was full of wonders. The closer she got to the palace, the more surprised she became. She saw part of Sulayman's army, and it was the most powerful, frightening, an unusual army she had ever seen. Her fear grew stronger. Her heart was racing, and she could hardly breathe. This force didn't seem human. It had to be backed by divine power. After seeing all this, she began to doubt the greatness and progress of her own kingdom. Her confidence was shaken, and her pride began to collapse. Her fear slowly turned into awe. Soon, she would step into the magnificent palace Sulayman had built. The scene she encountered was unlike anything she had ever seen. Sulayman's kingdom was built not just with wealth and glory, but with unbelievable beauty and artistic detail. Golden columns, doors decorated with precious stones, and handcrafted artwork in every corner dazzled her eyes. But the most impressive part was the entrance floor of Sulayman's palace. It was made of glass, and underneath flowed crystal-clear water. It shone so brightly that it looked like a deep pool. As Queen Bilqis slowly walked toward the palace, she thought the floor was water, so she lifted her dress to avoid getting wet. And in that moment, her legs were revealed. Now we come to the most mysterious part of the story. According to some old sources, Sulayman had a secret reason for building the glass floor. It wasn't just for beauty, it was a test. Why? As a prophet who could control Jinn, Sulayman had received some hidden information. There were whispers that Bilqis might not be a regular human. Some believed she was half human, half Jinn. Prophet Sulayman knew the nature of Jinn very well. He also knew that Jinn often had hairy legs. That's why he made the shiny glass floor look like water to make Bilqis lift her dress. At that moment, he would be able to see her legs and confirm his suspicion. But why did some people believe she was half Jinn? This idea appears in different religious and cultural sources. Some stories claim that Bilqis was born from the union of a human and a Jinn. One version says her mother was a human queen and her father was an Ifrit, a powerful Jinn. This is why Bilqis had both human beauty and some Jinn-like physical traits. The Qur'an does not explicitly say whether Bilqis was human or Jinn. In Ethiopian texts, she is not described as having Jinn origins. Instead, she is portrayed as a wise and spiritual human queen. These stories focus more on her wisdom and purity than her physical features. So, what do Islamic sources say? Most Islamic scholars agree that Bilqis was human. The rumor about her being half Jinn was actually made up by the Jinn themselves. Why? Because they didn't want Sulayman to be interested in her or marry her. The Jinn were afraid that if Sulayman had a son, that child might rule like his father and force them to serve again, using Sulayman's secret knowledge. They served Sulayman unwillingly, hoping to be free after his death. But if his son ruled, they would be trapped again. And most Jinn are known to be liars. Prophet Sulayman knew this well. That's why he arranged this situation to be sure. When he saw Bilqis's legs and saw they were normal human legs, his doubt was gone. After she passed over the glass floor, Sulayman was sure she was human. Then he showed her the throne. Queen Bilqis was very surprised. "Is this your throne?" Sulayman asked. Bilqis looked closely. She didn't know what to say. It looked exactly like her throne, but something about it had changed. "Finally," she said, "it looks very much like it." Underneath, Sulayman had placed a message: "We are among those who submit to Allah." As Bilqis looked more carefully, she realized this truly was her own throne. Somehow, it had been brought from her palace before she even arrived, and it had been changed. This was yet another proof of the great power Allah had given to Prophet Sulayman. Queen Bilqis was lost in deep thought. The more she thought, the more she realized how weak and foolish her people as beliefs were compared to the wisdom and logic of Prophet Sulayman. That day, she was invited to lunch. Prophet Sulayman sat beside her and began to share his thoughts. He spoke about Allah, the Lord of the worlds, most generous and most high, the one who created the sun to serve humans. He said, "Just like butterflies and lily in the garden serve Allah, The sun was also created to serve him. For a human being to bow down to another creation like the sun is a great insult to human intelligence. Queen Bilqis then understood that the sun they worshipped was nothing more than a beautiful trap set by Shaitan. For the first time, the brightness of the sun faded in her heart, and a new light, one that never sets, began to shine within her. Just then, her advisors came and said, "Soon the sun will set. It's time for our daily bowing." But the queen stood up and said, "You fools! Do you still believe the sun is worthy of worship? Shaitan made our entire belief system look good to us. Leave this place without hearing what Sulayman has said." The advisors, afraid of what might happen, quickly left. For the first time, the queen felt something warm and beautiful moving inside her heart, as if the colors of the rainbow were reflecting her emotions. Queen Bilqis realized it was time to declare her faith in Islam. With deep emotion, she admitted that she had been fooling herself all along, and she became a Muslim. Soon after, the people of Sheba followed their queen. They left sun worship and began to bow only to Allah. And all of this began with the feelings and voice of a small hoopoe bird. This story, told in the Qur'an al-Karim, reminds us of the value of knowledge, the honor of the scholar, and that true knowledge is a gift from Allah that requires gratitude. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us reach more people and share these beautiful stories. See you in the next video. May God bless you.